Yoriichi Tsugikuni. Yoriichi Tsugikuni, Tsugikuni Yoriichi, is a major supporting character in Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. He is a legendary demon slayer who lived nearly 500 years ago during the Sengoku era, the golden age of demon slayers, as well as the strongest demon slayer to have ever existed. He is also the inventor of breathing styles, being the one who created the first ever breathing style that would eventually become the Hinakami Kagura used by Tanjiro Kamado and members of the Kamado family. Yoriichi is the younger twin brother of Michikatsu Tsugikuni, who later became a demon and joined the 12 Kizuki. Like his twin brother, Yoriichi is a tall and muscular man with long and spiky hair with red tips that he kept in a ponytail. However, unlike him, he was slightly more slender and had shorter bangs and wavier hair than his brother. His Demon Slayer mark was at the same place at the top of his forehead as Tanjiro, albeit lighter in color. Yoriichi is always seen with a solemn and calm look on his face, rarely showing emotion. Yoriichi wore a red haori over a very pale orange-colored nagagi kimono with a black ominori-styled hakama, a pair of zori with red straps and white tabi socks, with a Nichiren sword carried at the left side of his waist, conventional to most demon slayers. He sported Hanafuda earrings created by his mother as charms when he was thought to be deaf. He later gave them to his friend Sumiyoshi, who then passed the earrings down to his descendants and eventually Tanjiro as well. Personality. Yoriichi was a calm and respectful individual who wore a solemn and reserved expression at all times, rarely showing outbreaks of emotion. Generally, Yoriichi had a matching low and serene disposition, evident when he killed demons without changing expression or when Muzan was caught off guard by his immense skill because he appeared unassuming. Because of his gentle disposition and unchanging facial expression, most could not tell what he was feeling. The only person who could read his feelings without difficulty was his wife Yuta. He was also extremely humble, seeing himself as just another man and no one special despite his godly attributes, an example being the time he performed the sun breathing forms for Suyako at her request and almost seemed embarrassed afterwards. Yoriichi was also noted by his brother to always have had faith in the future and was confident that despite the immense power of the demon slayers after they started using breathing styles, a generation would emerge that would surpass their own. Despite being mostly nonchalant, he does experience strong emotions. He grieved the loss of Yuta and their unborn child for 10 straight days and was driven to tears seeing the joy some eyes showed at the simple act of being lifted up. He also smiled warmly and expressed gratitude to Sumiyoshi after his friend told him his life was not worthless and promised to preserve his sun-breathing forms through his descendants. Yoriichi is also very kind, shown when he was on the way to fetch a midwife in preparation of the birth of his child, only to stop and help an old man he met along the way reach his dying son. As a child, it was shown that Yoriichi adored and idolized his older brother, Michikatsu, even declaring that he would support his brother's dream of becoming the strongest samurai in the land, and Yoriichi himself would become the second strongest. Even in his childhood, he was also extremely reserved and quiet, even being thought deaf by his family for 7 years as he never spoke. Yoriichi is shown to love his family greatly. He cared for his ailing mother when no one else knew she was ill and protected his father by not telling anyone about how he berated him as a child. He was particularly fond of his older twin brother, evident when he kept the flute Michikatsu gave him before he ran away from home all the way till his death. When he met him after 60 years, the latter having embraced his new life as a demon. Yoriichi was deeply devastated and saddened by what his brother had become, expressing how heart-wrenching the sight of his brother was and even teared up. Still, he attempted to kill Michikatsu himself in order to stop him as a traitor of the Demon Slayer Corps. Abilities. Overall abilities, Yoriichi is the strongest known demon slayer in history, being born with the Demon Slayer mark, transparent world, and selfless state, as well as possessing a godlike physique and innate swordsmanship talent. As a 7-year-old child who has never picked up a sword before, he was able to defeat a trained sword instructor effortlessly and he was referred to as a miraculous prodigy beyond compare. After training as a demon slayer, Yoriichi could defeat multiple demons to where his older brother stated that he as a child couldn't even compare to him as an adult. Demon Slayer mark, Yoriichi is the progenitor of the Demon Slayer mark, being born with it, possessing the tremendous physical abilities granted by its effects all throughout his lifespan. Unlike all other mark's users in his era, Yoriichi was able to defy fate and live to about 85 years of age. It is presently unknown why Yoriichi is immune to the mark's effects, but it's presumably because he was the first one ever to have it and born with it naturally, unlike all other mark bearers who must train to attain it. Bright red Nichiren sword, Yoriichi is the first person ever to be able to turn his Nichiren sword into a bright red color, as he was born with the mark that presumably gave users the ability to turn their blade bright red as well. When fighting, Yoriichi can dye his black sword to bright red at will, letting him hamper the enhanced regeneration of demons, even Muzen's instant regeneration, burning him at a cellular level, leaving scars on his body for hundreds of years. Transparent World. Yoriichi has access to the transparent world since birth, and could use it with surprising proficiency, evident when he could watch for lung expansions and muscle contractions within a person and surmise when to strike them. Extrasensory perception. Outside of the sixth sense granted by the transparent world which allowed him to see the inner workings of a person, Yoriichi also has extremely honed sensory abilities able to detect things outside the normal range of perception. Like most high-level demon slayers, Yoriichi would be able to discern the aura of demons from humans while also be able to tell the strength of his enemies at a glance. Genius intellect. As a child prodigy, Yoriichi is extremely intelligent. Despite not speaking for most of his childhood, his first words were very clear and pronounced. He also displayed maturity beyond his age as he noticed her mother's illness and helped her all the way till her death. Immeasurable speed and reflexes. Yoriichi possessed unparalleled levels of speed that surpass all other characters in the series, including that of the Demon King, shown when he was able to dodge every attack that Muzen launched at him and near fatally injure Muzen with one move, despite the demon's own immeasurable speed and strength. Immeasurable stamina and endurance. Even as a 7-year-old child, Yoriichi could run for a whole day without rest. He even remarked he didn't feel the least bit enervated. His vitality is also beyond peak human level, being able to survive without food or water for 10 whole days when he was embracing his dead wife. Immeasurable strength. Yoriichi possesses tremendous levels of physical strength, possibly beyond that of nearly all other demon slayers in existence. Selfless state. During their confrontation, Muzen noted that Yoriichi emanated absolutely no sense of drive, hatred, anger, fighting spirit, animosity, or even bloodlust despite being in mid-battle against him, rendering it practically impossible for Muzen to detect him, predict his movements or gauge how powerful he was with his senses. Fighting style. Unparalleled swordsman. Yoriichi is the greatest swordsman to have ever lived. Even as a 7-year-old child with no training, he was capable of easily defeating a trained swordsman the very first time he ever picked up a sword, striking him in multiple areas across his body faster than the eye can process. Breathing style. Sun breathing, Hai no Kokyu, created by Yoriichi himself as the original breathing style which all other subsequent styles would be modeled after, and was later replicated by Sumiyoshi, who called it Hinakami Kagura, Hinakami Kagura. Yoriichi was incredibly proficient in his sun breathing, being able to take down demons effortlessly and even overwhelm the Demon King and strongest upper rank. Tanjiro remarked that when Yoriichi performed the techniques of sun breathing, the forms were so strikingly beautiful and breathtaking, he looked more like a spirit than a man. Equipment. Standard Nichiren Katana. As a demon slayer, Yoriichi carries around a standard-sized and shaped Nichiren Katana that is deep black in color, but changes bright red during combat. His katana's hilt is circular, shaped with 4 slight indentations, with a black center and a golden border. Yoriichi's katana also has the word slay, Metsu, engraved on the side. Along with his katana, Yoriichi also carries a standard sword sheath.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.